Hey guys, welcome back. Today we have an episode for you guys about the myth of Persephone.
So, let's begin. First, I want you to imagine a world where winter had no explanation, where crops suddenly died, where the earth became cold and empty without warning. In ancient Greece, people explained this mystery through a story, the story of Persephone.
Persephone was the daughter of Demeter, and Demeter was the goddess of agriculture and harvest. Demeter controlled fertility of the land, and because of her, the wheat grew, the flowers bloomed, and all of humanity survived. Persephone lived in eternal spring. She was young, joyful, and protected by her mother. But one day, all of this changed.
So, while she was picking some flowers in a field, the ground suddenly opened. From the darkness emerged Hades, god of the underworld. He had fallen in love with her and decided to take her as his queen. Without warning, he abducted her and carried her into the underworld, a dark realm where the souls of the dead lived.
And meanwhile, all of this, Demeter heard her daughter scream. So as any mother would do, she ran and searched for 9 days and 9 nights. She refused to eat, drink, or rest. She carried torches and wandered the earth in despair. No one told her the truth at first, but finally, she had learned that Hades had taken Persephone, and that Zeus, the king of the gods, had allowed it.
Demeter was devastated, but her grief became something more powerful, anger. She refused to let crops grow. The soil became dry, plants stopped growing, the earth turned cold and barren. This was the first winter. Humans began to starve.
Zeus realized quickly that if humans died, no one would be able to worship the gods. So he ordered Hades to return Persephone to her mother. But there was a problem. Before leaving the underworld, Persephone had eaten 6 pomegranate seeds.
So, for context, in Greek belief, anyone who ate food from the underworld was bound to it. So in this case, because she had eaten the seeds, Persephone could not fully return to the world of the living. So a compromise was made. She would spend part of the year in the underworld with Hades and part of the year on the earth with Demeter.
And this is how the seasons were created. When Persephone returns to Earth, Demeter is happy, so the crops can grow, the flowers can bloom, and the sun shines warmly over the earth. But when Persephone descends back into the underworld with Hades, Demeter mourns, and the earth becomes cold, leaves fall, and nothing grows. This is spring and summer, and autumn and winter. But this myth is way more than a story about the weather and the seasons.
It is also about transformation. At first, Persephone was a victim, a young girl taken against her will. But in the underworld, she changed. She became queen. She ruled besides Hades. She gained authority and power. She was no longer only Demeter's daughter. She became a bridge between life and death.
Yes, because the underworld was not only a place of punishment, it is a structured world. Similar to ours, souls have their place, there was order, judged, and rules. Persephone had become part of that system, and her story reflects that in the ancient Greek understanding that life is cyclical. There's growth, death, rebirth, and like that forever. Nothing is permanent.
The myth also reflects social realities in ancient Greece. Young women often left their mothers to marry and move into her husband's household. Persephone's descent symbolizes this transition from childhood to adulthood. Her story carries emotional, agricultural, and social meaning, all at once.
For the ancient Greeks, myths were not just entertaining. They were explanations for the world around them. They explained things like why crops died in the winter, why flowers bloomed in the summer, why the suffering exists, and the balance between the light and the darkness.
Persephone represents springs, but also the power that comes from surviving darkness. Her return every year reminds humanity that after loss, there can be renewal.
And that is why myths continue to matter. It teaches us how ancient civilizations before us used storytelling to explain the world around them.
This is the myth of Persephone, a story of love, loss, power, and the eternal cycle of life. So, why is the myth of Persephone and Hades actually important to understand mythical thinking in ancient civilizations? Well, we can narrow it down to the human need to explain the world and all of the things that we do not understand yet, specifically back in ancient times where a lot of things like weather or death couldn't be explained. The use of human emotions to explain or try and make sense of everyday life were very common practices in ancient Greek times. Like in this case, using Demeter's feeling to change a simple harvest into a story which was easy to understand and relate.
This myth also serves to show us how the ancient Greeks saw life and death. We can understand that they saw death as a necessary aspect of life. For example, if Persephone doesn't go to the underworld and then comes back, spring will come. This kind of thinking was key in order to endure the hard winters or great losses, giving them hope by presenting them as normal or part of something greater, and that something good was coming after the darkness.
And well, that was all for today's podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll guys see you next time.
Yes, we hope you enjoyed. Bye.
Bye.